Hello there, all of you beautiful peoples of the interwebs, and welcome to Music Time, which of course is the time where I talk about music. And so last week, if you saw, I uploaded a video on My Chemical Romance and breaking up, and at the time, one of the worst things, well of course the worst thing was that they wouldn't be putting out any more music, but one of the, the next worst thing was that really, especially for the fans, even the ones that were with them for 12 years, all they got was just a paragraph of, hey guys, we're breaking up. And I know that I did, and a lot of the other fans just felt like that was not enough, and there was no reason behind it. So I was looking up a lot on the internet, reasoning behind it. I was checking out, musical websites, and I was also decided to go to their Twitter accounts, all the band members, and see if they posted anything on it. And most of the band members didn't really. But although Mikey Way, a bunch of people, well, I know some people thought apparently there's something going on relationship-wise with him, and some people thought that could have been the reason behind it. But he posted on Twitter, for the record, my relationship has absolutely nothing to do with what just happened. They are completely separate. So there goes that rumor. Anyways, so then I looked at Gerard Way's account, and it's surprising how much he's actually been posting recently about My Chemical Romance. He's been currently re-listening to all of the albums they made, and he's also been, it's really cool, he's been tweeting about, oh, I liked this song should have been on the album, my favorite part is when this happens, just give you some insight into the album, which that is a really nice thing to do. Anyways, but then I'm really glad he did this, he posted on Twitter just this giant, as he calls it, a letter to the fans talking about a day, 2 days after My Chemical Romance broke up. I'm not sure if it's immediately after when it takes place, but it's after they broke up, so it couldn't have been that long ago. And I highly recommend that you read the full thing, but if you don't want to, I'm going to summarize it right here. Well, I'll summarize some of the parts, other parts cut out completely. I'm talking about just things that weren't important to, My Chem, and then also, so I'll be rewording some stuff, but then also I'll be reading just direct quotes for the most part. Anyway, so it starts off his letter with Gerard saying that he woke up one morning and suddenly a deep sadness overcame him, immediately bringing his life and realization that My Chemical Romance had ended. And he tells a story about how a bird came in and he's no longer sad and everything. It's a nice story, not important to the whole thing, but I recommend you read it. Anyways, and then he talks about how it's his nature to be abstract, and he thought that he'd be clearer and everything, stop being abstract when the band ended and said, hey guys, clarity. But that really didn't happen until now. And he goes on to say that the clearest actions come from truth, not obligation. And now the truth of the matter is that he loves every one of you. The fans and people watching this video, and also many people not watching this video that are still huge fans of My Chemical Romance. And then he goes on to say, direct quote, he says, My Chemical Romance, 2001 to 2013. We were spectacular. Every show I knew this, every show I felt it, with or without external confirmation. There were some clunkers, sometimes our second-hand gear broke, sometimes I had no voice. We were still great. It is this belief that made us who we are, but also many other things, all of them vital. And all of the things that made us great were the very things that were going to end us. Fiction, friction, creation, destruction, opposition, aggression, ambition, heart, hate, courage, spite, beauty, desperation, love, fear, glamour, weakness, hope, fatalism. The last one is very important. My Chemical Romance had built within its core a failsafe, a doomsday device, should certain events occur or cease occurring. I shared knowledge of this flaw within weeks of its inception. Inception. Personally, I embraced it because, again, it made us perfect. A perfect machine, beautiful yet self-aware of its system. Under directive to terminate before it becomes compromised. To protect the idea at all costs. This probably sounds like something ripped from the pages of a 4-color comic book, and that's the point. No compromise, no surrender, no fluffing shiz. Of course, he didn't say fluffing shiz, but my mom watches these videos sometimes, so not going to swear right now. And then he goes on to say that when it's time to stop, they stop, and that it's not really up to the fans. It's not like the fans' opinion, because I know lots of the fans did not want them to stop. It's not their opinion whether or not My Chemical Romance breaks up, it's theirs, and that whole idea is also to protect the fans, because there are many bands that, you know, they go on past when they should, and, you know, ticket sales drop down. He uses an example of, or is it, booze and bottles of urine, you know, being thrown, and he said, really, that wasn't going to happen to My Chemical Romance, and they were going to end when it was right. And then he goes on to say, there are many reasons My Chemical Romance ended. The trigger man is unimportant, as was always the messenger. But the message, again, as always, is the important thing. But to reiterate, this is my account, my reasons, and my feelings. Remember, my is his, because I'm just reading what he said. And I can assure you there was no divorce argument, failure, accident, villain, or knife in the back that caused this. Again, this was no one's fault, and it's been quietly in the works whether we knew it or not, long before any sensationalism, scandal, or rumor. There wasn't even a blaze of glory in the hail of bullets. Then he goes on to talk about, all the way back in May 2012, he, you know, before a show he's starting to get anxious, which apparently never happens to him. Anyway, so then he goes on to say, I perform semi-automatically and something is wrong. I am acting. Remember, this is during the live show, back in May. I'm acting. I never act on stage, even when it appears that I am, even when I'm hamming it up or delivering a soliloquy. Suddenly, I've become highly self-aware, almost as if I'm waking from a dream. I begin to move faster, more frantic, reckless, trying to shake it off. But all it began to create was silence. The amps, the cheers, all began to fade, and all that was left was the voice inside. And I could hear it clearly. It didn't have to yell. It whispered and said to me briefly, plainly, and kindly what it had to say. Then Gerard talks about how he ignored the voice, and the following months apparently were torture, and, you know, things he used to enjoy, he just didn't anymore. The joy of life was sucked out, essentially. And then he says, slowly, once I had done enough damage to myself, I began to climb out of the hole. Clean. When I made it out, the only thing left inside was the voice. And for the second time in my life, I no longer ignored it, because it was my own. He then tells a story of, it's a bit separate, comes out of nowhere really, but he tells a story of how he spent the day going out and buying amp off of some guy. They talked and played music to each other. Sounds like fun. Not important to the story, but I recommend, once again, read it. Anyways, so then, in conclusion, Gerard writes, since I am bad with goodbyes, I refuse to let this be one, but I will leave you with one last thing. My Chemical Romance is done, but it can never die. It is alive in me, in the guys, and it is alive inside all of you. I always knew that, and I think you did too, because it's not a band, it is an idea. Love, Gerard Way. Anyways, so that's what Gerard posted on Twitter. So yeah, so that's really all that Gerard had to say, which, to be fair, that was a lot of stuff. And I felt like after reading it, also, if you have not read it again, once again, please just read it right now. I promise it'll be a lot better than my little summary with quotes in it. But, so if you haven't read it yet, go read it right now. It's good, especially if you're a My Chemical Romance fan. If not, I don't really see why you would, but do it anyways, I guess. Why not? Got some free time. So one of the things I loved, though, about that was, first of all, the last line when he says, My Chemical Romance isn't just a band, it's an idea. I was a huge fan of that. This is just a nice little thought. Also, I love how he actually goes through the trouble to actually, like, talk about My Chemical Romance, look back, reflect, give clarity, explain, all of those good things, which they did not do with that little paragraph they gave less than a week ago when they broke up. And yeah, it's sort of, I feel like, after getting that long thing, it sort of justifies, in a way, their breakup. I'm probably not saying that correctly, but I feel like it's okay now that they broke up. I wish they were still together. That'd be amazing, because it sucks when I read that paragraph. It's like, oh, hey guys, My Chemical Romance is broken up. Yeah, we're not going to tell you really anything more than that. It's just, I know I and many other of the fans felt cheated because of that. And yeah, but I'm also glad though that they did not, as some other bands do. Green Day. That's a bad cough. Sorry, got a cold. Don't. But I'm just glad that they broke up before. I'm not even sure if they would. Like, they're one of the bands that I think it's probably not, like, realistic thinking, but I think they could have gone on for the rest of their lives and still been good, you know? Listen to My Chemical Romance when they're in, like, their late 80s. That'd be amazing! And, that'd be so cool. Just singing about whatever it is they sing about, like, bingo and applesauce. What's the old people do? I really... Oh, I've got grandparents. I should know this stuff. But... not saying that my grandparents are like that at all. If you are watching this and you were the parent of one of my parents, first of all, I love ya. Secondly, I'm aware that you do not do bingo and go around in wheelchairs because you're not some cartoon person from a retirement home. But if you are actually a cartoon person from a retirement home, nothing wrong with you, but good for you for finding out how to use the internet. Getting off track though. Anyway, so once again, my opinion on this is I'm so glad Gerard gave an explanation. Although we didn't go clearly into detail, I found like it was enough. Actually, tell me in the comments below, did you think after reading it, do you think that what he said was enough information? And, like, because I feel like I don't need to know every little detail because that's their private lives, you know? I don't need to know every little detail, but as a fan, I definitely want to have some general idea of what's going on. And I felt like that's what Gerard gave me. And I'm satisfied with that. And I'm glad that they did not stay together. Shut up, Facebook! Ah, kids these days, am I right? Anyways, I'm glad they didn't stay together longer. Then I wish they could have made a few more albums, but I'm glad they never got bad. Like I coughed out Green Day, because I think Green Day should have ended an album or two ago, you know, maybe after American Idiot, maybe after 21st Century Breakdown, but the last Green Day trilogy of albums was not good. Like, they released 3 mediocre albums. Granted, you know, some of the songs on the albums were great and amazing, but a lot of them were just meh, you know, blended together. Instead, they should have just released one album with a bunch of the best songs on instead of 3 mediocre albums. Just have one great album, but that's not the point. Again, aside from the point. So yeah, those are my thoughts on it. Tell me what you thought below in the comments of this. Please read it. And yeah, so goodbye, and you have been watching Music Time! La, 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 Music Time! La, 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 Music Time! La, 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 Music Time! So long. Good night.